Next myth debunked. Health reform will not lead to a government takeover of healthcare. Now, this is one that can't be proved one way or the other until some years pass. But let's listen to what the leaders of this party that brought us Obamacare have to say. First up, the definition of a single-payer system.
What that means is essentially that the government is the insurer for everybody.
So the government would provide all insurance coverage, and there would be no competition from the private sector because there would be no private sector in the insurance industry anymore. If there are privately owned hospitals and healthcare systems, they would be so completely controlled by the federal government via regulations and laws that they would be essentially a wholly owned subsidiary of the federal government. So the federal government would, via your insurance coverage, determine essentially where you go to get treatment, what doctors you see, what medicine you have access to, what treatment you can and cannot have. It is complete government control of a nation's healthcare system. Now let's go to Democrat leader, Representative John Conyers, as he said this after the passage of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare.
Had that bill, with all its flaws, failed, it would have taken us another decade or longer to get single payer up and going. We view the healthcare reform bill as a platform on which we are now able to move forward.
Also, right after the passage of Obamacare in a victory speech, here's Democrat Senator Tom Harkin.
What we're building here is not a mansion. It's a starter home. It's a starter home. But it's got a great foundation. We're expanding health care coverage to 31 million Americans. It's got a great roof, protective roof, in protecting people from abuses by insurance companies. And it has room for expansion and additions in the future. But if we don't start the starter home, we'll never get there. So this is not the end of health care reform. This is the beginning of health care reform.
And the most powerful Democrat, aside from the president, Harry Reid, leader of the Senate.
I don't think we didn't have a tremendous number of people who wanted a single-payer system.
So why didn't it happen?
Well, you have to get a majority of the votes. We weren't able to do that. What we've done here with the Obamacare is a step in the right direction, but we're far from having something that's going to work for.
So eventually, though, you think we'll work beyond the insurance system?
Absolutely, yes.
Now the president's own words, going back to 2003, speaking to the Illinois AFL-CIO, he twice said he does want a single-payer system.
I happen to be a proponent of a single-payer universal health care plan. A single-payer health care plan, universal health care plan. That's what I'd like to see.
And now to a Democrat presidential debate with Hillary in 2008.
If I were starting from scratch, if we didn't have a system in which employers had typically provided health care, I would probably go with a single-payer system.
If it just wasn't for that pesky employer option that too many Americans really seem to like. And then to March of 2007, at an SEIU healthcare forum, then he made clear his desire to eliminate employer coverage.
But I don't think we're going to be able to eliminate employer coverage immediately. There's going to be potentially some transition process. I can envision a decade out, or 15 years out, or 20 years out.
Now, I don't have to tell you anything. You've heard their own words here. After listening to those words from the leaders in the party that brought us Obamacare, do you still believe that they don't want a government takeover of the healthcare system? I'm sorry, but I have to count this one as divergent from the truth.